Both Unitarians and Universalists have been associated with social justice agendas from the very beginning. We haven't just been a theological platform. We've also been a group of people who have taken controversial and progressive stands on everything from slavery, women's suffrage, and onward. So it would be pretty hard to separate that out from our tradition. When the time came to start searching for a congregation, I decided that I wanted to make a big move out of New England and was considering a number of different locations, not just Southern California, but the Santa Monica Church happened to be located here, and so that was of special interest to me. When I came to California, I realized that I had an obligation to educate the congregation about the history of our movement, and that I had an obligation to be better informed myself, and that there were all of these interesting correspondences with the West that really weren't preached on or explored very much. And I learned a whole lot the first few years I was here about the relationship between Unitarian history in New England and what was going on in the West. The fact that John Muir and Ralph Waldo Emerson had a relationship with each other, for example, something I wanted to read and learn all about. I just became far more appreciative of the importance of our history once I moved away from the epicenter, of it all. Ernie's experience of serving a church for 35 years is absolutely unique in Unitarian Universalist contemporary ministry, and nobody else has done that, and so that was a unique aspect of the situation, and I knew that I would have to understand and appreciate that. It's good to follow a good ministry. It's hard to follow what's a problematic ministry. So even though Ernie's life here was very extended, what I remember saying to the church at the time was that I saw Ernie's presence as one of the strengths of the congregation, to be drawn on and appreciated and honored for the time he spent here. It's the most extroverted congregation I've served, in the sense that people were always popping up out of their seats to say something or do something or perform in some way, and people are very talented. They tend to be more academic in other places. This one struck me as being more freewheeling. There are more people who are new to California, new to Los Angeles, new to Unitarian Universalism. There isn't that sense of 3, 4, 5 generations weighing in on the congregation in some way, the way there is in New England. Being a minister, I'm part of so many high points of people's lives. It's sort of like high points are my daily life. Marry someone's wedding, the fulfillment, a once-in-a-lifetime fulfillment of finding a life partner, or great celebrations and welcoming children. What it means to dedicate a child before a congregation is so much more significant if the children are part of that welcoming of the child. I find that moment when I touch the child's forehead with the water, I feel like there's really a soul meeting soul kind of moment there, and it makes me stop and think too about what it means to be born. I guess that when I think about what it means to be in an inclusive community, theoretically, we would be able to welcome and absorb and be in relationship with many, many different kinds of people. And I think that we are, but I think that they have to be people who embrace our values and our progressive social justice positions to want to be part of that community. And if they don't, then they really don't. They would perceive, I think, and we would too, that we probably aren't close enough together to mesh as in a congregation together. People are fiendishly busy. And it does have an impact on what people can bring to and take from the experience of being part of a congregation. More and more, I think that people are able to set aside Sunday morning, an hour on Sunday morning, for their life as a part of the congregation, but are much less available to be part of the church at other times of the week. And the church has become more and more reliant on paid staff and on getting things done in other ways because the pool of volunteers is not the way it used to be. The most striking change, I think, is how much we have all become conscious of needing to embrace a more sustainable way of life in terms of the climate change crisis and the implications for that for each of us as individual consumers and as a community taking up space in the world. There was an environmental awareness group when I arrived here in '93, and some of those same people are still involved in the Green Sanctuary movement now. I would want to say for the record that ministry is a very, very difficult and challenging profession in which one has to confront one's own inadequacies all the time, mostly internally, but sometimes externally. I have never ever stopped feeling really fortunate that I found my way into ministry, and how much of that has been a product of my whole life, and the strong feeling I have that for all of us, it doesn't matter what you've gone through or where you've been, but none of that experience is wasted somehow in the final reckoning. Has my life been changed by my contact with all of those people coming through the doors? Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the way I've been able to be part of people's lives. So I feel very grateful for my career as a minister and for the privilege that congregations have given me to serve.